Recently, hope had arrived to both the creators and fans of Webtoon. Hope that someday their favorite series may all get their very own anime adaptation, thanks to a single partnership that's managed to shake the anime industry as we knew it. And that partnership is the one which was formed between Crunchyroll and Webtoon, causing weebs to wonder if this could be the start of an entirely new era. In order to understand this question, we must first understand what it means to be an anime. Luckily enough, though, I think I found the answer, since we just won't shut up about it. Quote, anime is animated series made in Japan and nothing more. Unquote. It wasn't always like this though. Anime was once thought to be the adaptations of a form of comics in Japan known as mangas, but everything practically changed when Sword Art Online attacked. Yes, hate it or love it, SEO's financial success was admittedly a dice that began the trail of light novel adaptations. Sure, light novel adaptations weren't exactly completely non-existent before SEO hit the scene, gaining an anime adaptation, but it certainly wasn't as common as they are today. There also existed game adaptations such as Steins Gate, Pokemon, Persona, God Eater, Danganronpa, and Fate Stay Night. So the explanation of anime being the adaptation of mangas didn't seem at all that credible. So the community updated the explanation to series made in Japan, or at least its animated variety. So no, I don't believe that this is the beginning of an entirely new era, since the explanation still stands. But nonetheless, webtoons getting their own adaptations are still pretty awesome to see, bending the rules of anime a little, but webtoon adaptations kinda flopped. Allow me to explain why with a mini review of The God of High School. The first chapter starts with Mubung/Mujin Park receiving a phone call from a high-ranking government official who has had it with his scheming, but Mubung isn't gonna quit, so he makes the other guy go squish. He's obviously up to something, willing to do anything within his power to achieve his goals, even if it means disregarding his humanity. But unfortunately, the full extent of his plans were left as a mystery. As the scene changes to the main character, Morijin defeating his most recent foe. He's allegedly the best fighter, having a fighting bout with 299 challenges, 297 wins, 2 ties, and no losses, because of his specialty in Taekwondo, taught to him by his grandfather, who's the best martial arts user he knows. Morijin combines his fighting style with his ability to see attacks in slow motion, effectively preventing him from being hit and allowing him to find his foe's basic weak points and openings needed to finish them off with a single punch. After his win, he's approached by an executive agent who is trying to invite him to participate in a martial arts tournament that's going to go international, recruiting high school fighters to participate. Morijin couldn't care less though, so he ignores the agent, continuing to sing about how he's the best fighter. But the agent is unable to tolerate Mori's ignorance and blitzes to directly in front of him, forcing Mori to pay attention, but Mori, being the flexer that he is, instead seemingly teleports behind the agent, considering his speeds as unimpressive at best. As he returns to ignoring the agent, realizing that he isn't getting anywhere, the agent tries appealing to Mori's desires, telling him his wishes could be granted if he wins the tournament. But as you probably guess by now, Mori doesn't care. He's apparently already satisfied being the quote-unquote best fighter, next to his grandfather, which understandably irritates the agent since he just wants to hand Mori the invitation and leaves. So he punched at Mori's head from behind, barely missing Mori, whilst completely destroying a couple trees in a nearby forest, piquing Mori's interest since 14 full-grown trees don't just vaporize without being hit, if you ask me. Digress, Mori challenges the agent, agreeing to participate in the tournament if he loses, which he promptly loses, resulting in him realizing that he isn't the best fighter. Second protagonist this time starts off at a school waiting for the day to go by so he can head to his part-time jobs, working his butt off before he can visit his best friend again at the start of a new day, even though his friend is very sick, having to stay at the hospital 24/7. But our current protagonist doesn't care since he treasures every little thing done with his friend. For example, watching the sunrise together, and he'll do everything in his power to protect their time spent together from coming to an end, even if that means sacrificing all his earned cash. He spent endless hours working at his two jobs to pay his sick friend's hospital bill, leaving himself only enough money to afford ramen regardless of the time of the day he'll be only eating ramen. Later that day, while he's at school, a gang of thugs attempts to pick on him, although their leader was rather kind to him. So he introduces himself to their leader as Dawi-han, which causes the thugs to become suspicious since they've heard about a Dawi-han from Mad Cow, a duo who defeated all the gangs in a nearby area within Seoul called Gyeongnam-gu within a single day. So they leave and Dawi continues to his daily cycle, going to his part-time jobs, a Chinese food delivery service and a convenience store, when he meets a green-haired gentleman from the GOH. You know, the exact same secret competition in which you're guaranteed to win whatever prize you desire if you win. The gentleman then agrees to give Dawi in cash and help his friend completely recover if Dawi wins, even though Dawi didn't mention his friend, so he believes that it's probably a scam and tosses the gentleman's invitation. On his way to visit his friend, Dawi realizes that his friend is in critical condition and his money won't be able to cut the bill anymore, or else he's able to get a lot more. Up, Dawi says to his friend, since his friend's usually the one who refuses to give up until the very end. But it got even worse when Dawi is at his school having his usual lunch and the gang of thugs were up to no good, spilling Dawi's ramen before stealing his money. The ramen was one thing which Dawi would be willing to let slide, overlooking it while trying to appreciate the little things, but the money was for his friend's survival. So Dawi lost it and kicked their asses while simultaneously causing a mess. Thug's boss watches in awe, trembling as he realizes that Dawi-han is from Mad Cow. But since he yelled Dawi's secret, Dawi punches him out and turns to the gentleman from the GOH who has returned for Dawi's answer, and Dawi asks him to grant his wish because he's gonna compete in the GOH. Chapter 3 starts off by introducing us to a high school couple, a cute girl and a strong guy. Yeah, I know, and even the author knows it's cringy. I'm gonna skip most of this one. Skip. They're attacked by a guy who was knocked out by the girl's boyfriend, who is now seeking revenge, surrounding them with a bunch of his friends, and beginning to worry. The girl's boyfriend tells her to run and let him handle it. But since they're surrounded, she's immediately captured. But the unexpected happened when a thug turns to her boyfriend, who is being beaten, unable to hold his own against about 20 guys, when the thug is revealed to be beaten by the girlfriend, Mira Yo, who single-handedly took out a bunch of the thugs using a technique from her swordsmanship, which her dad taught her before he passed away. Living his dying wish. Find good seed. So she could introduce the next generation of Yo family Moonlight Sword successors. So the author explains to the audience that she's been living her life up until this very point looking for strong men who would probably be capable of helping her fulfill her father's wish. So that's the reason she later agree to marry a random strong man who promised to help her revive her family swordsmanship. It actually makes more sense in the webtoon, unlike the anime. Yeah, back to chapter 3, she breaks up with her boyfriend before being approached by an executive commissioner who's inviting her to, you guessed it, participate in the GOH, which she accepts only to find good seed. My hot / unpopular opinion of their backstory is that it carries the spirit of the GOH / God of High School, developing the main characters well, fleshing them out in a short period of time. While the anime just dumbed down Morijin, turning him into another fighting, food-loving Goku clone from his once great martial arts expert genius who really loves his grandfather and greatly respects other strong fighters just so long as they don't play dirty. I really don't want to turn this into a hate video, but can you really sit there and say that the director of the anime adaptation know a thing or two about Morijin's martial art? Even though Google exists. Like, come on! He turned triple stage Hochuk into Morijin just kicking 3 times. Dude, triple stage Hochuk is an attack which targets the opponent's head 3 times by first striking the left or right, followed immediately by a strike from the immediate opposite direction, with the goal of making the opponent flinch and attempt to evade by going backwards, so the final strike to the back of the head does more damage. Don't get me wrong, I'll give the anime credit for delivering such a fantastic first episode which surpassed the webtoon's midi-core bike scene. Plus its art / animation and fights are pretty hype. But it's just still bugging me that their hands ban and the psychological test that came from knowing that how strong your opponent is before the battle begins is just non-existent, since Manseok Yang or Kang being a level 12 was kinda a big deal, establishing that he's the strongest around at the moment in a relatively short period of time. But no, frick it, let's just go crazy. Why Youngji Park? Why do you have to tell them to go crazy? Episode 1 was one thing, but they totally get this video to 10 likes and I'll make a sarcastic anime review on the God of High School, and subscribe since I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers, and I'll have a lot of original content planned, like how strong is Morijin in complete Monkey King mode, and a sarcastic anime review on Tower of God, otherwise known as TOG. SAR. Oh wait, that doesn't sound right. I'll fix the name later, but until then, have a great day or night, whatever time you happen to be watching this, and peace out. See you in the next one. You guys are uniquely awesome viewers. Wait, I have one more thing to say though. Webtoon. I have Crunchyroll isn't the only problem I have that ruined the anime. Webtoon is actually pretty bad themselves. Like before, earlier this year 2021, they were pretty god awful at advertising their action series. They were making it like romance, just female audience they were pulling in. even though they had some really good action or male type series. Shonen Jump exists for a reason, it markets off male, so come on Webtoon, gender equality.